Now, here we are a day after elections, and I hear from both sides that everyone is disappointed. The Democrats are disappointed, the Republicans are disappointed, people who are following Q are disappointed, everyone's disappointed. And what's very interesting about this is that when I was watching the elections happen, and I was looking at the Senate and the House, I was hoping that the Republicans, the plan was to get the Senate all along. And that's what happened. The Senate was taken by the Republicans. And we have to remember, Trump is really not a Republican. He's really off by himself, but he needed individuals to back him up, to push this plan forward. Because believe me, those individuals within either party would like to get rid of him. And Trump, in this position, with the military behind him and other patriots, it's not about, Democrat or Republican. It's about getting rid of those individuals that have corrupted this country. Those individuals that are treasonous. Those individuals that have committed crimes. And it's on both sides. That's what this is really about. Now, if Trump and those patriots in office right now can't do this, we're in big trouble. And the plan, like I discussed in the other report, the plan is always going to have changes. The plan is never, ever going to be perfect. If it is, fantastic. I've never seen a perfect plan. Every time I come up with a plan, I always have to make changes. And if you think plans are absolutely perfect and foolproof, you're fooling yourself. Plans always have to deviate, and you always have to adjust. And that is a good plan, because sometimes you don't see other things coming, and you have to adjust and counter those other things that are coming to hit you. And the purpose of adjusting the plan is to make sure you hit your goal. And this is what we're seeing today. Just because something comes up and the plan isn't what you thought it was going to be, and you get all emotional about it, well, drop that. Emotions, no good in a plan. Expectations, no good in a plan. The plan is logical thinking. Whoa, they just threw this at me? How do I get around it? What do I got to do to reach that goal? Well, we might have to maneuver and use a counter plan. And you always have to remember that. So when we go through this today, those people, I've been seeing it all over the forums, I see it all over the place, where they're saying, it's all over, that's it, Q's fake, that's this, the plan was never the plan, and I knew this was going to happen. No, absolutely wrong. That you're thinking with emotions right there. So right off the bat, Trump came out and he congratulated Nancy Pelosi. He tweeted out, "In all fairness, Nancy Pelosi deserves to be chosen Speaker of the House by the Democrats. If they give her a hard time, perhaps we will add some Republican votes. She has earned this great honor." Now, do you think he's really saying this to congratulate her, or is this a setup? It's a setup, of course. Let's begin here. Now, we need to go back in time a little bit, and I'm going to go back to post 382. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to read different portions so we get an idea of what is happening here. In this post, it says, "We won't telegraph our moves to the enemy. We will, however, light a fire to flush them out." Now remember, on 8chan, these posts, the enemy is looking at what Q is writing. Sometimes it's disinformation to confuse them. And then they come back later and tells us, yes, this is disinformation, and it has to be done this way. Post 1794, "Never interfere with an enemy while he's in the process of destroying himself." Post 2397, "An enemy who feels safe and in control is an enemy who is not in control and not safe." So remember these from the past. because as we go forward right now, it will make perfect sense. So let's look at this. Post 2416. Panic in D.C. Now, this was a post that was put up on November 4th, 2018, right before the elections. And the reason why I bring it up, you'll see in a minute. Panic in D.C., in brackets, all bold, and in the kill brackets, if I didn't say that already. If you witness members of Antifa or any other people or organization stationed at key voter locations making threats or attempting to use scare tactics, voter intimidation, please contact local authorities immediately and report the incidents. Internal comms suggest preparations are being made and organized to conduct a 29-plus location push. Battleground locations. See something, say something. So let's think about this for a second. Q, at this point, came out and told us they heard internal comms suggesting that they're preparing to have voter fraud in 29 battleground locations. Let's go back in time a little bit. And we're going to go back to 2016 going into 2017 and the year of 2017. Remember when Trump started the voter investigation to see if there was fraud, and there were a lot of states, counties that didn't cooperate. They didn't want to turn anything over, and it looks like it was a dead end back then. And it seemed like they canceled it completely. So if we go back to this post, Q is telling us that they have internal comms suggesting that they're preparing to conduct a 29-plus location. These are the battleground locations. See something, say something. So they already knew these individuals were going to try to push voter fraud in these locations. How do you catch someone using or pushing voter fraud? Is it better to go after the fact and research it, or is it better to catch them in the act of doing it? I would say it's a lot easier to catch them in the act of doing it and collect all the intel and evidence while it's happening. Do you think Q put this out to tell everyone to look out for it, or are they telling us that they were collecting evidence, they already knew about it, and they wanted it to happen? Because, again, never interfere with an enemy while he's in the process of destroying himself. Now, Project Veritas was on the ground in Texas, and a Texas poll worker admitted that tons of non-citizens have been voting. And they put up this video, with this interview of this individual saying that, yeah, we've had many non-citizens vote. So this shows us that most likely they were collecting information on these people, and they're going to use it at a later date. Now, remember what Joe Biden says. Well, if Trump loses, he's going to say that, there was voter fraud, and he's going to try to show that these elections shouldn't stand and all this other stuff. Didn't they say that back in 2016? But remember what Trump tweeted out. And this part is very, very important. And this tells us this is exactly what they were doing. He said, law enforcement has been strongly notified to watch closely for any illegal voting which may take place in Tuesday's election. Anyone caught will be subject to the maximum criminal penalties allowed by law. Thank you. So right there and then, he is warning them that if you do this and you are caught, you'll be subject to the maximum criminal penalties allowed by law. So right now, it looks like this most likely is a sting operation. Let's move into post 2444. Q put up a link to Real Donald Trump, and it says, "Tremendous success tonight, thank you all." And this was November 7th that this went up. And it went on to say, "We got what we needed." Thank you, Patriots. Senate means everything. Think judges, Supreme Court, and Cabinet. D-Class overrides all potential House blockades. POTUS has ultimate authority. Shift to Senate judiciary oversight from House to now occur. Strong position and held in reserve for this scenario. Lower chamber House used as a 2-year starter. Upper chamber Senate will be used next 2-year closer. Then gave a link to judiciarysenate.gov. And we'll read that in a minute. And it says, military plan, no impact RE ongoing investigations. Team is stronger, pro POTUS. So the link that they put up is jurisdiction. In addition to its critical role in providing oversight of the Department of Justice and the agencies under the department's jurisdiction, including the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security, the Judiciary Committee plays an important role in the consideration of nominations pending legislation. Executive nominations for positions in the Department of Justice, Office of National Drug Control Policy, the United States Parole Commission, the United States Sentencing Commission, and the State Justice Institute, as well as select nominations for the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Commerce, are referred to the Senate Judiciary Committee. The Judiciary Committee is also charged with the consideration of all Article III judicial nominations. These include Supreme Court nominations, appellate court nominations, and district court nominations. The committee also considers nominations to the Court of International Trade. In addition to its role in conducting oversight and consideration of nominations, the Senate Judiciary Committee also considers legislation, resolution, messages, petitions, memorials, and other matters as provided in the standing rules of the Senate. These areas include appointment of representatives, bankruptcy, mutiny, espionage, counterfeiting, civil liberties, constitutional amendments, federal courts and judges, government information, immigration and naturalization, interstate compacts generally, judicial proceedings, civil and criminal, national penitentiaries. So think about what we've just gained to push this plan forward. And Q explains this as we go through this. 2445. Do you believe in coincidences? Which two House members ran the investigation? RE, Department of Justice, FBI, etc. Gowdy and Goodlatte. So Q gave us a link to judiciaryhouse.gov. Today, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte and House Oversight and Committee Reform Committee Chairman Trey Gowdy released the following statement after reaching an agreement with Department of Justice. Assisting Attorney General Stephen E. Boyd and United States Attorney John Lausch to review and obtain documents and information pursuant to the committee's joint investigation into decisions made in 2016 and 2017. So they've reached an agreement. Let's read on here. Gowdy, Q says, Gowdy, resignation. What role did he play? RE House investigations. House Oversight and Government Reform Committee Chairman. Goodlatte, resignation. What role did he play? House investigations. House Judiciary Chairman. House to Senate. House to Senate. House to Senate. Trust Grassley. Senate Judiciary Chairman. Brackets bold, House of Cards, military planning at its finest. Q. So right now, Q is telling us that the Senate was the most important part. That's what they wanted. They didn't care that much about the House. Yes, if they got the House, that'd be fantastic, but it was really the Senate. Because we need to go back to post 2253. What did this say? In post 2253, it says D-Class of FISA will initiate the resignation, recusal, and or removal of Rod Rosenstein. D-Class of FISA will initiate the awareness that all signers will be currently under investigation. D-Class of FISA will factually demonstrate without argument the U.S. government under Hussein knowingly presented false evidence to Fisk in an effort to obtain legal U.S. intelligence umbrella survey of POTUS. for the sole purpose of influence the 2016 election of the presidency. Not Russia, but Hussein, Clinton, projection. Plus safeguard against possible loss of power, firewalls, use of back channels. And under this, Q wrote step 1, read the first sentence, Rod Rosenstein. Step 2, read the New York Times article, Rod Rosenstein, Wear a Wire. Attempts to bait POTUS to fire to cross red line will fail. Now this is the most important part. FISA D-class will bring the House down. Will bring down the House. Who's in power now in the House? Well, the Democrats, the deep state. All those people are now put in, they're all in leadership roles. They feel safe. We'll get back to that in just a minute. Post 2446. Q put up a link to real Donald Trump. And it says, there's only 5 times in the last 105 years that an incumbent president has won seats in the Senate in the off-year election. Mr. Trump has magic about him. This guy has magic coming out of his ears. He is an astonishing vote-getter and a campaigner. The Republicans are unbelievably lucky to have him, and I'm just awed at how well they've done. It's all the Trump magic. Trump is the magic man. Incredible. He's got the entire media against him, attacking him every day, and he pulls out these enormous wins. Ben Stein, the capitalist code. Now under this it says, the Senate was the target. Corker and Flake removed. How do you catch a fish? Mission forward. These people are stupid. Q. Post 2447. Q put up a tweet from Donald J. Trump. If the Democrats think they're going to waste taxpayer money investigating us at the House level, then we will likewise be forced to consider investigating them all of the leaks of classified information and much else at the Senate level. Two can play at that game. He's already telling them what's going to happen because he knows that these individuals, they're going to try to push their little agenda here, which is going to go nowhere. He's going to counter this with the declassification. He wants them to do something. He wants them to use their ammunition. And under this, it says future proves past. Now, Trump has been tweeting out and going after Mueller once again, going after the classification, saying that he's going to put it out there, and he put out a tweet against Mueller already, and we notice after the elections, he's starting up again. The plan is moving forward, and the tweet he put out was, according to NBC News, voters nationwide disapprove of the so-called Mueller investigation, 46%, more than they approve, 41%. You mean they are finally beginning to understand what a disgusting witch hunt, led by 17 angry Democrats, is all about. He's laying the groundwork right now and letting everyone know, educating everyone that this is just a witch hunt, that Mueller was put in there as a firewall to block certain things. Post 2448. Q says, we are at war. Think logically. Why was winning the House majority the primary goal for them? Because they believe they have control. They believe they can push their agenda. This is a false sense of security. Q says, to this point, what chamber is currently directing the Department of Justice FBI investigations? To this point, what chamber do they feel most threatened by? While the focus was on the House for them, due to the above, our underlying focus was adding pro-POTUS members to the Senate and safely securing a pro-majority. The Senate is worth so much more. The Senate controls judges and cabinet positions without House approval. The Senate Judiciary Committee has direct oversight over the Department of Justice and the FBI. More power than the House, all bold brackets. While we had a Senate majority on paper, in reality, we never did. nor could we count on bringing investigations to that body until it was safely in our full control. The Senate was always the primary objective, moves and counter-moves. We defied history by picking up Senate seats. Patriots delivered. This info is necessary. Enemy at the front door. Our attempt at reassurance, RE last drops, House to Senate, backed by POTUS tweet directly thereafter stating the same thing, should have put this to bed. How many coincidences before it's mathematically impossible? Do you think the current shill attack is organic? And I see shills all over on Vote, on 8chan, all over the place. Q says, buckle up, Q. When you look at the Trump rallies, and we need to go back in time, who did Trump rally for? Mostly it was the Senate candidates. They were pushing this all along. This was always the plan. Post 2449. And Anon put up, POTUS just said these people are sick. He just confirmed with Q, because this is what Q always says. These people are sick. Under this it says, we are with you. Anons, Q. 2450. We're going to show you a new world. Those who are blind will soon see the light. A beautiful, brave new world lies ahead. We take this journey together, one step at a time. Where we go one, we go all. Post 2451. Q put up the post 2442. History is being made. You are the saviors of mankind. Nothing will stop what is coming. Nothing. Q. Under it, it says, thank you for your service to our country, Mr. Troy Gowdy. Thank you for your service to our country, Mr. Bob Goodlatte. Your sacrifices will never be forgotten. Q+. Now, let's go through this, and I want to go to Sun Tzu, The Art of War, because we need to understand certain things here, and we need to put everything together so we can understand what is happening. So Sun Tzu says all warfare is based on deception. Hence, when we are able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must appear inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When we are far away, we must make him believe we are near. Remember, Q says we are at war with the deep state. Another quote from Sun Tzu. Engage people with what they expect. It is what they are able to discern and confirms their projections. It settles them into predictable patterns of response, occupying their minds while you wait for the extraordinary moment, that which they cannot anticipate. Think about this for a second. These people think they're safe. Their minds are occupied. They think they have control in the house. They're being investigated. The FISA D-class is going to bring down the house. So we need to trust the plan. The plan is not going to be a straight line. The plan is going to have curves, dips, it's going to have jumps, but the goal, we always have to remember the goal. And sometimes things change. Sometimes people make other decisions and they don't want to carry through with the plan. So, a few days ago, Q showed an overlay of illegal distributions, where illegals are being let loose, and these are in key areas. If we look at the House seats that were flipped, they correlate. The Democrats' plan has been to use illegals to take power for years. They had these assets in place waiting. This is why Pelosi said she was 100% sure they would take back the House. Guess what? They let them do this. Because, remember, never interfere with an enemy while he's in the process of destroying himself. They wanted these people to commit voter fraud, to gather the intel, to actually show what they've done here. So we have Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Adam Schiff, Elijah Cummings, and others in leadership roles. Who are the players they're after? Most of these. Now, POTUS ordered the D-class of the FISA docs. Rosenstein has sat on them. He has always refused to appear before Congress. Q has always said, enjoy the show. How many times have you watched a movie and you thought one thing was happening, but in reality something else was happening? That's what's happening right now. This is a show. It's a movie. And there's going to be twists and turns. And you might think something's happening, but on the other side, something else is happening. FISA has been held back till after the elections. This was done on purpose. They didn't want to politicize this. Q and team knew that most likely the deep state, the Dems, would take the House. That's why Q, if we go back in time, says FISA brings down the House. All these individuals, it will bring them down. What does this mean? The investigation evidence FISA warrants will show deep state Democratic voter fraud. It will cast the legitimacy of the House into question. They won't be able to accomplish anything against Trump's agenda. The leadership of the House may even be under question while they resolve it all. Q said we will be united as a country again on 11/11. And Q just confirmed that D-Class brings down the House of Representatives. Now, Q told us about the stealth bomber. Just imagine how many deep state individuals currently elected in the House will be indicted and removed from power once the D-Class hits. Remember this bit from Post 432. House cleaning, top. Senate, Supreme Court, including Department of Justice, FBI, NSA. Restructuring 1 to 2. The House, FISA brings down the House. We're going through stage 2 right now. Now, and Annan kind of summed all of this up and made a little meme out of this. And this is what this Annan says. Shills think logically. Shills, I appreciate your efforts to weaken our resolve. It is cute, but your lies don't work here except on normies. And they just get in the way. So thanks for scaring them off. However, let's look at your actual situation logically. I created a simple meme to help you understand your current plight. Basically, you're screwed for several reasons. Since you are not allowed to think for yourself, I will make it easy for you to understand. November 8th, 2016 perspective. When Trump was elected, normies thought he had a 51-seat GOP Senate majority. You and I both knew better back then, but we all now know that No Name, Corker, Flake were comped, among others. So Trump really had, at best, a 48-seat GOP Senate minority for the past 2 years. And yet, in spite of a leaky executive branch, a weaponized FBI and Department of Justice, a treasonous fake news media, and totally comped House, Trump was still able to win tax cuts, 2018-2019 military budgets, and 2 SCOTUS confirmations. Without these things, MAGA was over. Who's in control? Only valid answer is military and POTUS. Feel free to reconcile. November 6, 2018 perspective. When all midterm election results are certified, Trump will likely have about 55 GOP Senate seats. That's +4 from 51, but it's actually +7 in terms of reliable votes. And you lost control of 3 Senate Armed Services Committee members, and both comp senators on the Canadian border using the Senate Indian Affairs Committee to steal votes and traffic children, plus you lost your Arizona and Texas access. Much easier for us to guard half the border. Really down to NM and CA, New Mexico and California in the south, and either of these 2 states can exist long frantically without federal funds. Who is in control? Reconcile. Let's compare to other presidents. Trump's true gain of +7 is a remarkable achievement, and he has easily outclassed Reagan, Clinton, Obama for the first midterms, and all 3 of them got reelected. But you know what? Plus every city Trump traveled to allowed USSS and military to enter those cities, as well as conduct some extra credit operations, laying bait, setting lures. You'll see who is in control. Reconcile. But the House, you say, Trump outperformed there as well. Reagan lost 26 seats in the 1982 midterms. Clinton lost 54 seats in the 1994 midterms, and Obama lost 63 seats in the 2010 midterms. Worst case, Trump is about to equal Reagan. But you know, the real reason we let you keep the House for a little while? It is to pacify your angry Democratic mob while we arrest corrupt, deep state Democratic leaders. Optics. And our media hostage are about to tone down the rhetoric. Hugs and kisses, Pelosi and Trump, actors. I doubt will matter after the Pfizer declassification. Take down your House of Reps. Trust me, we want bad Dems and bad Republicans gone, and it will be done. And thanks to the House, Trump has already fully funded all important aspects of government for 2019, including the $716 billion for our military. But best of all, I cannot think of a single piece of legislation that Trump really needs the House to pass before all these military tribunals and indictments get unsealed. Your caravan gives us pretext to build a military barrier at the southern border. No need to scare the recently pacified Democratic minority by calling it something inflammatory like a wall. But it's a wall. Who's in control? Reconcile. 5 by 5 equals 55 senators. Ahead of schedule, under budget, promised, delivered, trumped. Now, Trump tweeted out today something very interesting, because all along Q has been telling us that we need to trust Sessions. And Trump tweeted out something very interesting today. We thank Attorney General Jeff Sessions for his service and wish him well. A permanent replacement will be nominated at a later date. We are pleased to announce that Matthew G. Whitaker, Chief of Staff to Attorney General Jeff Sessions at the Department of Justice, will become our new Acting Attorney General of the United States. He will serve our country well. Well, it looks like Sessions just turned in his resignation letter. And again, plans do change. So we need to go back to Post 537. It says, trust Sessions. Trey Gowdy departure from the House Ethics Committee. Not needed to testify, think logically. No need to step down if needed to testify. Do not chase misinfo. What role might Trey Gowdy be walking into? Who can we trust? This is very interesting. So who is this individual that Trump is talking about? Whitaker. Well, he was the executive director of the Foundation for Accountability and Civic Trust, a conservative, nonprofit 501c3 organization dedicated to promoting accountability, ethics, and transparency in government and civic arenas by hanging a lantern over public officials who put their own interests over the interests of public good. What? And then we come to find out this individual, Guy Whitaker, you know what he said in 2016? There's enough evidence to have a special prosecutor investigate the Clinton Foundation. So we trusted Sessions up to a certain point. He did his job, and now this other individual is taking his position. Now, Trump said they're going to find a permanent replacement. So, and they haven't decided, but if we go back to Post 537 and remember future proves past, what does it say? What role might Trey Gowdy be walking into? I mean, is Q trying to tell us that Trey Gowdy is going to be the Attorney General that's going to prosecute all of this? It's starting to look that way. And Sessions did his job. Remember, the goal is always the same.